Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, today we are going to talk about Texas, Montana, and two court cases. The cases aren't linked, not the suits themselves are not linked in any way, shape, or form, but they were both ruled on recently. And while the cases aren't connected, the topics that the state was trying to legislate, those are connected. The way they were sold to the public is connected. And the reason the judges were like, yeah, no, you actually can't do this. This is unconstitutional. That's connected as well. And what it does is it shows how the Republican Party, when it engages in its culture war nonsense, manipulates the base and centrist independents at the expense of groups that don't have a lot of political representation. So, we'll start with the one in Texas. In Texas, they passed a piece of legislation. They sold it to the public as protecting the kids from drag shows. Okay? And when they talked about it in public, it was all about protecting the kids. They made it seem very narrow in scope. The goal certainly appeared to be to rile people up, get them angry, provoke some outrage, direct that anger at a marginalized group so, you can't really suffer any backlash because they don't have big enough numbers. And then you can keep the voting base angry about something, give them a little bit of moral validation, and get their vote. Because that's how you win an election. You tell people who to be mad at and say you'll punish them. That's what American politics has devolved into. So it goes to court. What did the court find? The court sees no way to read the provisions of SB 12 without concluding that a large amount of constitutionally protected conduct can and will be wrapped up in the enforcement of SB 12. Now, when your average person hears this, they're like, well, maybe that kind of conduct, maybe that shouldn't be constitutionally protected. Maybe those people, maybe they don't need rights. But wait, there's more. It is not unreasonable to read SB 12 and conclude that activities such as cheerleading, dancing, live theater, and other common public occurrences could possibly become a civil or criminal violation. See what happened? They got people angry at a marginalized group, directed all the anger at them, said, oh, we have to protect the children from those others. And then, when nobody was looking, well, they took your rights too. They passed a law that would infringe on your constitutionally protected activities. That's how it works. That's what happens. And that's how authoritarian governments trick people into giving up their rights. They pick an out group, say, blame them. We're just going to pass this legislation to protect you and your kids from them, those people, those others over there, because they're bad. But when that legislation comes out, nobody reads it until it goes to court. And maybe, if you're lucky, if you're in a country that has a functioning check on legislative tyranny, you have a judicial branch that steps in. It's like, you can't do this. Because understand, if the judge hadn't have stepped in here, which I'm sure this judge is going to be called woke or whatever, if the judge hadn't have stepped in here, it would not be unreasonable to assume that cheerleading, dancing, live theater, and all this other stuff, well, they could arrest you for that too. When you take away people's rights, understand you're signing away your own. Okay, let's go to Montana. Montana passed a piece of legislation that was banning gender-affirming care. And same thing. We're going to protect the kids. We have to protect the kids. And that's how they sold it. And they threw out words like experimental and all of this stuff. Then it goes to court. And what we find out is that the judge, not just was there an issue with the legislation itself, judge said that the legislature was disingenuous and that the purpose was to, quote, ban an outcome deemed undesirable by the Montana legislature veiled as protection of minors. Why'd the judge say that the legislature was being disingenuous? Because the same legislature that sold this as super scary and experimental and all of this stuff, they actually passed legislation allowing patients to include minors to opt to receive treatment that actually was experimental, as long as they had a healthcare provider sign off. So what was it about? Othering people, getting you to kick down. If they had stood, what would really be the case? Oh, you can control your own healthcare because we're Montana and we're super free out here. We'll even let you do experimental stuff. But we get to define everything. And if we don't think you need that treatment, we'll just ban it. When you sign away other people's rights, you're signing away your own. Luckily, the judicial branch stepped in and pointed out, in this case, exactly what happened. It might be time for people who are in states that have authoritarian legislatures to really take a look at what's being whittled away when they tell you they're going after those other people. Because understand, they're going after your rights as well. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.